styling cues to it, and it's gotten a tremendous amount of attention for Cadillac, which is exactly what they intended to do when they created it.
Very dramatic proportions, long hood, long wheelbase, big wheels, short overhangs. It's very wide and low.
Based on groundbreaking Cadillac concept cars from just a few years ago, like the innovative Evoque, the Cadillac 16 also gets its look from one car that's over 70 years old.
You can see various cues of this car from Cadillacs of the past.
Believe it or not, this is only one of 3 1931 convertible Cadillacs known to exist, and it was a major inspiration for the new version. On the outside, they may not seem alike, but take a look at this number, and take a look at this number, and take a look under this clamshell hood, and this clamshell hood, and the relationship is obvious.
Many people ask, why we did the 16-cylinder engine.
Not 8, not 10, not even 12, 16 cylinders. And if the number of pistons doesn't make you take notice, then look a little closer. 1,000 horsepower makes this Cadillac engine one of the most potent power plants to ever come out of Detroit.
It's a legitimate 16-cylinder engine and not a copy or a cobbled-together piece.
And if you think this aluminum-skinned, glossy black thoroughbred is the ultimate on the exterior and under the hood, then you might want to take a look at the interior too.
Really, you're just swathed in wonderful materials like Tuscany leather, burl walnut everywhere, and a silk carpet that you hardly want to have your shoes touch. Really an exquisite place to be.
And if a genuine Bulgari clock doesn't make you drool, then take a closer look at the steering wheel and you'll know you're experiencing one of the finest concept vehicles ever built.
When you first sit in the car, you can't help but be taken by the crystal badge in the steering wheel.
How much would you pay for a piece of cut crystal like this? Try $8,000. It's just another one of the details in this car that's designed to make you believe one thing.
This is a car that's, just monumental in scale.
Concept cars are all about elegance, styling, power, and now, this. Coming up. When you think about some of the most advanced concept automobiles, you probably think about performance, power, styling. But car makers aren't just working on how to do 0 to 60 in 4 seconds flat. They're also figuring out how to do the right thing.
Petrochemicals eventually, fossil fuels, are eventually going to start running out. We don't know when, but the experts agree that it's a finite amount and that eventually we will run out.
Since automobiles were first invented, people have been looking for alternatives to gasoline to get them from point A to point B. But what if the byproduct of you traveling across the country wasn't toxic exhaust, but something a whole lot better?
It's a zero-emissions hydrogen engine. Water drips out of the tailpipe. You could drink that water, it's so clean.
Fuel cells, like the ones found in the Toyota Fine S concept car, are changing the way people look at powering their vehicles.
This is Honda's hydrogen refueling station. It's a futuristic concept, and it's based on generating hydrogen from a renewable source, mainly sunlight. We take sunlight from the solar panels, we generate electricity. From the electricity, we break apart water into hydrogen and oxygen. And from the hydrogen, we store it in the station, and then we use that to fuel our fuel cell vehicle.
And it's not just sunlight that can make hydrogen. There are a variety of ways to produce this efficient fuel.
The method that's used prevalently today is to take natural gas, which is predominantly methane, and do what's called a steam shift reaction, where you add high-pressure water to the methane, and you get a lot of hydrogen coming off.
Once extracted, the hydrogen is contained in tanks. When you need to fuel, drive to a hydrogen service station and fill up just like gasoline. And why switch from gasoline to hydrogen?
The big advantages with hydrogen, number one, is you get up to 25% greater efficiency from a hydrogen internal combustion engine than you do from a gasoline internal combustion engine. The emissions are reduced 99% plus.
And now, Ford Motor Company has joined the revolution using this alternative power source in a brand new concept car.
The Model U is really a project that we did to have a very serious look at how cars are produced, the type of engines that they will need in the future.
The hydrogen-powered Model U is the latest in alternative power. But look closely at the stylized body, and you'll see something you won't find on any other vehicle. All the body panels are recyclable. But when you're done with the car, don't bother taking it down to your local plastics recycling plant.
It's all soy-based materials, both in the fenders, the seats, corn-based tires with very little carbon in them.
Even the rollaway canvas top looks good enough to eat. The Model U takes renewable resources in automobiles to a whole new level.
The entire car becomes cradle to cradle as opposed to cradle to grave car. And so it turns out to be an entire cycle of life that the car can go right back into the ground when we're finished with it. It's a very exciting concept and one actually that's quite realistic.
And it proves with new alternative power source vehicles like the Model U, concepts aren't just about creating the most opulent cars on the planet. They're also about saving the planet.
The car is as clean as a field of corn because it's actually made out of a field of corn.
It just goes to show you, you can have your dream car and eat it too. Coming up, the line between fantasy and reality is blurred. We'll see some of the concept cars may let you dream bigger than you've ever imagined about how you're going to travel in style. But what do the biggest auto manufacturers do when they want to drive their imaginations wild? They come here, to Zumikon, Switzerland. But if you thought this tiny European country was all about cuckoo clocks and cheese with holes in it, then you haven't traveled here, to Rinspeed, where concept builder Frank Rinderknecht has created a supercharged empire designing some of the most experimental concept cars ever built.
People considered me to be crazy, to be outrageous. They forecasted an end to come soon, either being broke or going out of business or whatever. And we're in the comfortable situation now that people are really almost expecting it and looking forward for next year what's to come up.
Rinspeed builds custom cars for wealthy individuals, but they also partner with manufacturers to experiment with new features and new concepts. And here may be one of the strangest you've driven. Ever come across that hard-to-find parking spot only to discover that it's just a little too small for your car? Rinspeed has a solution. It's no illusion. That car is getting smaller. It's called the Presto. And it's one of a stable of Rinspeed concept cars that push the limits of auto innovation.
A prototype should open a door to a vision, should open a door to what the future could bring, maybe in a different way, but made us think.
Like this. It may appear to be a high-speed sports car, but push a button, and this vehicle becomes something else altogether.
The Bedouin, a retractable roof to transform a station wagon basically into a pickup truck.
And the interior is as unusual as the outside. It's got a cowboy theme, a rawhide interior. Even the Western-looking seats spell out Rinspeed in rhinestones. It's just one of the features that has allowed the Swiss concept maker to lead the way in designing some of the most unusual multi-use cars you've ever seen.
I create the concept, and then I have a very good, very efficient team of designers and technicians, and the rest is teamwork.
And this team just might be crazy. Where's that yellow car going? It's heading toward a body of water. No, this isn't an amphibious vehicle. But what it does do will make you want to hit the sand right now.
People turn around and say, wow, what is this? Does it fly?
Just hit a button, and a hoist lifts out another vehicle you might not expect to see on any beach, anywhere. It's not a jet ski. Get your motor blowing. It's your own personal hydrofoil. You may be asking yourself, what would drive a person to want to make concept cars like these for a living? The answer is simple.
Yeah, I'm curious and I want to see what I'm able to perform and what I'm able to do, and that keeps me going.
In the race to be the first, the fastest, the most stylish, car makers look to all sorts of places to experiment with their latest designs.
I think there's an uncanny resemblance about what our design team does and what a film director does. And when I talk about an emotional world, that's exactly what a film director is doing when they create a movie. So the emotional backdrop for a movie or the emotional backdrop for an automobile is essentially the same. I have automotive design friends that were in the auto industry and now work in the movie industry.
I didn't fit in very well in the car industry in terms of, my working style and what I wanted to, sort of where I was aspiring to go and what I was trying to do. I fit in a little better in the movie industry.
Nick Pugh builds cars for the movies. He also built this, the Zeno, a natural gas-powered jaw-dropper you won't see on any car lot. Take one look at this intergalactic-looking vehicle, and you may nod your head. Or you may shake your head. Either way, Nick Pugh doesn't really care.
It may not appeal to everybody, and it really isn't supposed to appeal to everybody. It's supposed to just appeal to one person, because each individual person's vision can be realized in a unique form. So it really represents the possibility of extreme individualism.
And this young designer has taken that extreme philosophy to the extreme. Would you believe he'll help you build your very own personal concept car?
I think that the most best comparison, or the most logical comparison, would be to that of a client and an architect. At the end of the first design phase part of the process, I would produce a finished digital rendering of what their car would look like with them standing next to it, and it's a photorealistic painting or illustration.
Nick's celebrity clientele includes film director Roman Coppola. Believe it or not, he's standing in front of a digital rendering, not a real car. His own personal sports limousine concept vehicle.
And it's a very sort of stealthy, quiet car, very almost like comes in at the end of the night and comes in like a shiny shadow and drops you off and then disappears into the night.
You can stay happy with the illustration, or if you have a few $100,000, Nick will finish off your vehicle just the way you like it.
It's like the process of coming up with something from nothing and having an idea in your head and then seeing it real and getting to use it is really very rewarding. It's very fun. And I would encourage people to look at that side of it rather than all the struggle and cost.
Concept cars are all about the advancement of performance, style, and technology. In fact, the future might just mean that anybody can design their own car from scratch. And some of these vehicles won't be built, they'll be grown. Whether it's traveling in tomorrow's super techno boxes, rolling down the highway in the newest style and performance, or getting behind the wheel of a retro futuristic power performer, there's little doubt that concept cars are built by people, for people who love dreaming about cars.
We're actually trying to tug on the heartstrings of the customers, and usually the ones that are the most successful are the ones that do that in probably the most emotional way.
The ones who make the money are the bold thinkers. They're the ones who go out there and say, you know what, I like this car. This car is important. It pushes all the buttons as far as we can tell. We're just going to build it. Those are the cars that inevitably, whether they're great successes in the number they sell, they're always the ones that you remember.
The best thing I can say for the car business is, thank goodness people care. If nobody cared what the next model looked like, if the love affair was gone, it'd be pretty dull around here.
Get a fourth job to get me the G35.
Yeah.
We'll see.